Hello everyone, my name is Rochelle Innocent and I'm the founder and CEO of Project Purpose. Welcome to our channel. Our community is focused on fostering the intellectual and character development in children. We do this through our parent-child workshops that are focused on 4 themes: autonomy, self-efficacy, compassion, and self-concept, in order to cultivate grit, perseverance, and resilience in each child. And we are so thrilled to be offering one of the first of its kind digital, virtual, and continuous learning environments, enabling parents and children to connect from all around the world. At Project Purpose, our overarching mandate is to renew and rebuild family, community, and relationships. Our different social media platforms provide us with an opportunity to have discussions and to create space for all topics that relate to family, community, and relationships with ourselves as well as with others, with a primary focus on mental health and education. More precisely, the ways that the institutions of mental health and education play a role and have played a role in our societies at large. These discussions and debates provide us with an opportunity to think critically about what needs to change within these structures for us to live up to our bold slogan: support, protect, and empower each child through youth-focused development, better known as leadership in juvenescence. We recognize that in valuing our children's leadership potential, this also translates as recreating and co-creating environments, both socially and politically, that will enable our children to thrive. For those of you who are particularly keen on the topic, we also write thought pieces. We actually have a thought piece scheduled to drop in the upcoming month, so definitely be sure to check out our website. Now, if it is the case that you are looking for a listening alternative, well, we're available wherever podcasts are playing, and we provided you with access to a few links down below. Now, as is the convention, be sure to subscribe, hit that post notification bell so that you are aware of every time we post. And of course, if you like these conversations and you want to keep them going, like, comment, and share this segment. Let's get into it. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another segment here on Project Purpose. For those of you who are new, we cover topics that relate to mental health, mental wellness, and education on a week-by-week basis. And today's topic of discussion is mental wellness. And on the topic of mental wellness, we're going to be talking about taking a break unapologetically. And so this is important because a lot of us feel really guilty about the fact that we need to tap out, that we need to take a break, despite the fact that our body and our mind are giving us all of these signals that it needs to have a time out. And I'm a big fan on giving ourselves the opportunity to have a time out, especially in those cases where we're operating at an energy deficit, especially when we're operating at an energy deficit over an extended period of time. And that was in fact what I was enduring. So Project Purpose was offline for about 8 weeks, and that was mostly because there's so many transitions taking place. I took it as an opportunity to recalibrate and to reflect on the work that has gone into this channel over the last 3 years. For those of you who have been following, I have created this YouTube channel 3 years ago, and I built the website 2 years before that. So altogether, Project Purpose is about 5 years old, and since I put this YouTube channel together, I have not missed an upload. Even if it wasn't necessarily on a Tuesday or a Thursday, I had been very dedicated and diligent in uploading twice a week, every week, for the last 3 years. And so with this big transition that was taking place in my life, with having to really deal with a lot of moving parts, I thought it was an opportunity to give myself the chance to rest. And I think that there's so much excitement built around growth and evolution of an idea of a project like Project Purpose, and of all of the potential, that sometimes taking a break feels like counterproductive, like counterintuitive. But if you know that you've been going and you've been going hard for an extended period of time, and maybe what the project that you're supporting, or the areas that you're working in, or the people that you're working for, the best that you can do for them is take a time out for yourself and have the opportunity to recalibrate and to come back with a fresh perspective, give yourself an opportunity to restore those energy and those creativity reserves, then you do what you feel is best. And I think that oftentimes we discredit the cost that we incur when we operate at an energy deficit. And a lot of us, myself included, have been trained to operate at an energy deficit, except I'm so much more cognizant and conscientious of the cost of that. So I recognize when I'm asking my body to do more than what is typical. So if I'm asking my body to, give time in different spaces that not just just require me physically present, but mentally and intellectually present. I'm also dealing with a bunch of high stressors in my own personal life, and I'm navigating this and I'm operating in this way over an extended period of time. My body's gonna do it. Like, we're all aligned, we're gonna do it. But while I'm doing that, if it is the case that I'm asking my body to operate at an energy deficit, then there are certain rules of engagement that need to be non-negotiables. So if you're going hard and you're going fast and you know that you're operating at an energy deficit, you know that you're stretching yourself a little bit too thin, then that's when you need to be really, really cognizant of how you give yourself those energy boosts. So you need to be really cognizant of the amount of exercise. You want to make sure you're not eating foods that are depleting you. You want to eat foods that are going to energize you. You need to be very cognizant of your sleep. And even if you're not someone who gets the typical amount of sleep, as long as you're getting the amount of sleep that you know that you need to be able to maintain the momentum that you've been establishing, then you do that. But you also recognize that there is a time limit to that. Like, you can operate at an energy deficit if you're doing all the right things to maintain your physical and mental health as much as possible while operating at that energy deficit. But at some point in that window, there needs to be a time out. And I think operating for 3 years under like high stress situations, dealing with several cross-country moves, dealing with a few job transitions as well, and then now getting myself settled to give myself an opportunity to shift and to recalibrate my thinking and to get out of a survival state and get more into a creative state. If I thought that what that required was taking 2 months off, then I had to do that for myself to reward myself for the 3 years spent, and I had to do it unapologetically. And I think for the first month I didn't feel any pressure at all, but in the second month I think there was a little bit of nervousness, like, okay, is she going to get back to it? Is she still driving by way of the vision that she has for Project Purpose? Yes, but I think that it's important that we recognize when it is time to take a step back from what it is that we're pushing towards when we have such a long-term vision, that no one can be the reason why you come back too early. And so this is why I really wanted to put the emphasis on unapologetically, because a lot of the people who are excited about the things that you're excited about are going to feel antsy about you taking the time off, right? Because they're kind of watching you and they really want to, cheerlead some of the growth and development that's taking place. And while all of that is well and good, I will take all the positive vibes, all the love and light that there is. I know me best, and if I am the heart and soul of what it is that I've been establishing and what I'm building, then I know what she needs, what Project Purpose needs in this scenario in order for her growing to be conducive to the vision that I have in mind. So I think there's a certain stage where I felt like a lot of what I was putting out by way of what was taking place in Project Purpose was really like, it had to be circumstantial. So a lot of my conversations were about what was taking place in some way, shape, or form in my daily life. But I want the conversations that I have here on Project Purpose to be way more in-depth, to involve a lot more thoughtfulness and mindfulness in the creation and the curation of those topics than what's just happening in my day-to-day life. But I needed to take a moment to get out of that survival state, to think really deeply about what that creative work is going to look like. How do I want it to translate? How do I want those conversations to evolve? And give myself the rest that I need to be able to deliver on that vision. Because again, operating at an energy deficit comes at a cost, and you have to be cognizant of the cost and pay the cost when it is due. And so, having survived a lot of different physical health issues because of my capacity to have a high threshold for stress, it involved deterioration of my stomach, right? So I had dealt with ulcers. I now have a gluten intolerance, and I know that that is very much probably something that I was always sensitive to, but I developed a really severe intolerance, almost to the point of having celiac disease because of stress. I know that that was the case because I am someone who carries my stress mostly in my stomach and in my lower back, and I can push through stress. But I learned that if I want to make sure that I'm not, cutting years off my life for the amount of stress that I'm taking on, then I have to make sure that I create balance, right? And that balance doesn't need to be a tit for tat sort of balance, but it does need to be, at some point, I acknowledge the effort and energy my body has put into doing something. I celebrate my body for the effort and energy it's putting into it. I reward my body daily by giving it exercise, by giving my body rest, by drinking the right amount of water. I do what I can to keep my body aligned to my focus, right? And my focus will always drive harder than like my physical body, what it's built, I think, naturally to do. But I've conditioned my body to respond and to be in alignment. And part of that conditioning was also learning to be responsive to my body's needs and recognizing when, okay, it is time to take a break and to do so unapologetically. And so I think that for all of us who are considering the amount of time that we've taken operating at an energy deficit, and for any of us who are operating under multiple hats, or we have this one hat that's like massive, and we've gotten accustomed to operating at an energy deficit, what has the cost been? And I think think that when we take our time to think about the costs associated with the sacrifice of operating at an energy deficit, at some point we need to recognize that it is important. It is what we owe ourselves to recalibrate and to give ourselves an opportunity to ground ourselves and to find that recenter and to find that balance so that we're giving the best of ourselves as we continue to push forward. And so I want to have that conversation here because I think that for me, because I like to go big, I like to go home, I like to go hard, you don't feel when I'm burning through endurance, right? So there's a transition I feel when you're working with the energy that you have, and then when that energy is depleted, you're operating at an energy deficit, then that transitions into endurance. Like you're just pushing, it's like all mental at that point in stage, and I'm very much mind over matter. And having run obstacle courses, there's a point in every obstacle course that I have run where I felt like there's nothing more to give, and there's always more beyond the feeling of nothing to give. Like your body wants you to stop before it burns out completely. And so I've mastered that mental zone between my body wanting to stop and me knowing I can push forward. So I know how to push my body to the absolute limit, but I've also learned to respect that limit because my body has definitely responded very adversely to me pushing forward, not managing my stress accordingly, not respecting my body for the fact that it's aligned to my vision and needs to have in return an opportunity for it to be my main point of focus. When you operate at an energy deficit, at some point you got to pay back into the bank. And so that's what this conversation is about, because I think that a lot of us deal with guilt from the communities that have benefited from us operating at an energy deficit, and it's that guilt that keeps us pushing forward when we know we need to hold back. And so I learned that there's a lot of things that I do in my life that I do without an explanation and without apology. And when it comes to me managing my mental, physical, and spiritual, my emotional, my delta, I am unapologetic about the choices that I make to manage that. And when it comes to even the relationship that I choose to embrace and the relationships that I choose to reject, unapologetic about the ways that those choices manifest. And I think that too many of us feel this weight to please, to impress, to validate others, or to not step on feet to our own detriment at the cost to ourselves. And I think that this conversation is really about focusing on your mental well-being and focusing on your physical well-being and all of the ways that your well-being translates in the decisions that you make by learning the art of being unapologetic. And that doesn't mean that we're brash. It doesn't mean that we need to be abrasive about it, but we can be firm and direct about it. And the way that we manage our energy, the way that we give back to ourselves, are all of the different ways that we get rewarded by the way that we partition our energy and our time. And so I wanted to have that conversation here online because I do believe a lot of us, especially those of us who grew up in a North American environment where it's definitely live to work, not work to play, we don't consider the weight of the choices that come with the imbalance of operating always with a high level of stress and a bit of a survival state. And if you want to create, if you want to build a vision that's going to require a lot of time, attention, focus, and energy, then you need to also recognize that part of that strategy needs to be rest, and it needs to be recognizing that your dream can sleep for a little bit, and that's okay. And I think that we've all drunk the Kool-Aid where, the person who gets successful is the one who finds a way to keep building even while everyone is sleeping. And I think that there's a level of truth to that, but you have to find the opportunity to sleep even if that's the case. So hopefully that is food for thought for you, for all of you who are operating at an energy deficit, know you need a break but feel too guilty to take it. This is the call from the universe to take that break and to take it unapologetically. And so when I take breaks, I like to have check-ins. I'll give myself an initial break. My initial break was originally 1 month, and then at the 1 month mark, it wasn't get back to it, it was check-in. So I knew at absolute most I would take maybe 3 months off, but I would do that with a monthly check-in. And so after the 2 month mark, I was like, I'm ready to get back. I don't feel exhaustion. I feel ready and motivated to get back online and to have these conversations and to interact and to engage without it feeling like I'm really pushing and pulling that energy out of myself to give to you. I feel like it's there, it's on reserve specifically for this. And I've done myself, and I've done Project Purpose, and I've done the vision, the benefit of giving myself the opportunity to rest unapologetically. And so I hope for some of you that this is motivating. I hope that it gives you the encouragement to do the same for yourself. And I have a career on top of Project Purpose. I have relationships that are very significant to me that I'm also balancing on top of that as well. And I have life just happening all around my career, all around Project Purpose, all around my relationship. And all of those factors are so important to me, but the best way that I can bring my best self to all of the things that mean a lot to me is to practice unapologetic rest, especially when it is the case that I recognize I'm operating at an energy deficit, and that's not going to serve me, that's not going to serve my vision, my relationship, my career, or anyone that I hope to bring into the sphere of what it is that I'm creating and building in my life and in this vision that is Project Purpose, then I need to make those calls. In any case, that was the topic for today. That was it, but definitely not all. Now, before letting you go, I would be remiss if I didn't let you know that we will be going live at least twice a month, every month for the foreseeable future on our Facebook page, so definitely be sure to tune in. Now, these events are paid events, so if you do see yourself participating in our community on an ongoing basis, then I do suggest that you take a look at one of our package plans. Yes, we do offer package plans over and above our live events, as well as access to webinars and workshops largely focused on self-mastery over and above those events. So check it out, be part of our game changer community, being part of the change that you want to see, allowing us a small role to play in your journey. We are on the road to 1K, so we do invite you to follow us across all of our social media platforms, and we look forward to chatting with all of you very soon. We'll talk to you later.